Moebius presenta su primer kit con toma de fuerza en 4 versiones. Este es el primer sistema totalmente preparado de origen para funcionar desde el cálido verano del norte argentino hasta la fría Patagonia. Moebius, productos reales, sin renders.
We wanted to show that even this naked form, without the bodywork, it's a Bugatti horseshoe. And this horseshoe does a lot of things. We have the medium temperature cooling systems here, so the air is flowing here to cool the front electric axle and the battery and the brake system. And then here comes the luggage compartment, and left and right is the cooling for the combustion engine. So when the air goes up, the car goes down. That's usually how downforce works. So in the Chiron, the air would go in here, and because of the luggage compartment, it would go underneath the car. You don't really want air to be going underneath the car from here. So instead now we have the air going up through these radiators and exit in the bonnet. The electric motors are in front of the axle because basically the feet of the passenger and the driver of the car are coming all the way until here. So you are very close with your feet. You can't have the motors, they would be in the foot space of the passengers of the car. And then you see here is kind of a hole between the gearbox and the inverter. Why? Because this is where the steering rack goes. And then in front of the 2 inverters, which is also a very integrated dual inverter, so it's basically one box with 2 inverters for 2 motors. We have the luggage space, which is now completely different, and now we have a very deep but narrower luggage space. What we did with the Tourbillon was having a very narrow powertrain that's on top of that angled, so that we can channel the air left and right from the powertrain. And actually, because of that, it goes through the suspension, and you can see that here in this wing-shaped 3D printed suspension arm, and then it goes up until the end of the diffuser and then goes away, and then actually even the exhaust pipe, which is not here now, is separating the airflow from the diffuser and the turbulent air behind the car. And it's all a big interplay of different systems. On one side, the powertrain layout, which enables the whole architecture to make it work like this. But also, for example, in a normal car, what you would see here in the back now would be a big metal crash beam, like thick like this, and going from left to right all the way across the car. And we don't have that because our diffuser is actually the crash structure. So this is the diffuser cone. You can see the shape of the diffuser, but it's at the same time absorbing the crash energy. So 2 of these 3D printed metal structures, which have this tiny intricate little metal structures inside, which are there to absorb the energy, enable it to start with the diffuser so tall. Now when the car would be on the floor, this would be at knee height. So this is the terminal height of the diffuser, and with the diffuser you have to go in very gentle angles. You basically have to stay at around 11 degrees, and that means you can't go very aggressive because otherwise the airflow would separate from the diffuser and the diffuser wouldn't work anymore. So if you start that high, it means the diffuser needs to be really long. And in the case of the Tourbillon, the diffuser starts in the middle of the car, basically underneath the passengers. So half of the car's length is the rear diffuser, which is perfection for an aerodynamicist. That's what they want to do. But that means then that the suspension, because of that, is in the airflow. And traditionally you wouldn't be able to make a suspension arm that's aerodynamic because it has to be very strong to sustain the forces that it needs to do. But then comes another thing that we did for the first time in the Tourbillon, 3D printed suspension. So we see it here much more prominent in the upper wishbone in this organic, topologically optimized shape. It basically means that software and AI is optimizing the shape of the part in order to cope with the forces that it needs to encounter during acceleration, braking, cornering, or speed bumps. And you take atom by atom away to just leave the structure where it's absolutely needed to cope with those forces, plus of course some buffer on top of that to encounter also some unpredicted situations. And that enables also the design of a wing-shaped suspension arm. You can see the difference between the upper arm and lower arm because this one is not in the airflow, this one is. But inside of this shape, there's again microstructures that enable this kind of shape to be strong enough but still aerodynamic. So it all works together, the narrow powertrain, the integrated crash structure, 3D printed suspension. It's not just about individual components, it's about how you bring that together to have a benefit to the overall car in terms of weight, packaging space, aerodynamic efficiency, downforce, performance, and we all bring that together in this car because we thought about all of these bold things together at the beginning of the development of the car.